Good morning, everybody, and welcome to an absolutely beautiful and rather chilly Saturday here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It is the Victoria Day Speed Fest weekend featuring the Pirelli World Challenge Championships at CTMP. I'm Greg Kramer. We'll be joined just a little bit by Jeff Lepper, and we have a good day of racing unfolding today and another full program tomorrow of racing for the Pirelli World Challenge in all of its three different divisions and multiple classes. And what you are looking at on the grid is the touring cars all set up for their third round of the championship, opening two rounds coming at VIR, Virginia International Raceway, a few weeks back. This is round 3 today, and it is a very chilly day. Temperatures right now barely touching 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but an absolutely glorious day in terms of sunlight, and it's a welcome one. We had some interesting weather overnight on Thursday night, and had a wet start to the day on Friday. It eventually dried up and became a very nice day. Today's gorgeous. Tomorrow, well, there are reports that we could have some fairly interesting weather in terms of rain that takes this daunting and challenging track in the dry and turns it into an absolutely treacherous place in the wet. So it's going to be an entertaining weekend, that is for sure. As I said, we are now into the full race program for the Pirelli World Challenge Championships. Full day of practice and qualifying yesterday. And touring cars, 3 different classes as always. The touring car class, then the touring car A and touring car B. Sizable field when you tally them all up here. Some 45 cars went out for qualifying. Unfortunately, there were a couple of incidents. A couple of touring car A drivers are not going to be able to make it to the race today. And here's an interesting little story here. Basically, the guy who is tied for the lead in points right now in the touring car division, Greg Liafouge, in the Cameron Racing BMW M235 IR, had a fuel pump issue right before qualifying, could not get out and set a qualifying time. The guy that he came into this weekend leading in the points by 1 point, local driver Paul Holton, driving for local team C360R in the Audi RS3 LMS Club Sport, put it on pole. There is a point for that. So at the front of the touring cars, in terms of the point standings right now, a dead even heat for Greg Liafouge and Paul Holton. The bad news for Greg is he will be starting back in about 26th spot on the grid. Even though there were some problems with the touring cars, so a couple of A cars had better times. Same thing, a couple of B cars quicker than some problematic A cars. They will grid them by class. So at least Greg doesn't have to work his way through other classes of cars. But he's got a long day ahead of him trying to hunt his way up to the front here. Now, the interesting thing is it's going to be fun to see the front row right now. 1, all local drivers. 2, all front-wheel drive cars. Paul Holton in the Audi. Now let me take that back again. It's Nick Whitmer that's outside of the front row. That is a rear-drive BMW. So it's going to be an interesting study here, but local knowledge clearly playing a bit of a role here. Nick Whitmer, of course, was on his way potentially to a win in the second round at VIR, and then working through traffic, clipped another car and ended up with a huge flip, multiple flip. They got the car fixed. He is here, and the car clearly is pretty quick in that number 91 ST Racing BMW. Anthony Girazzi, who certainly has been having a strong season so far with 2 fourths, very consistent in the opening 2 rounds at VIR, comes in 3rd in the points. He will start 3rd. Carl Whitmer, who took over the Honda Sunrose Racing Honda Accord that brother Nick ran last year. Carl, actually, while the practice session was fairly damp, Carl was untouchable in that front drive Honda doing the job, but ended up in the dry qualifying. Still pretty quick, up into 4th. He only managed 1 top 10 in a problematic weekend at VIR, but he's looking to rebound here. And Cody Ellsworth, in his Racer Inc. Porsche Cayman, qualified 5th again here. He was 3rd in the second round and comes in here well placed in the championship as well. And it's a big field in the touring car category, just that class, 26 entrants. And it has been a class that has just blown up since last season. We have 14 of the BMW M235 IRs, 4 of the new Audi RS3 LMS Club Sports, and just a variety of different machines as well, a couple of Lotuses. Just fantastic to see what's unfolding. In the touring car A category, Dean Copeland, who had great speed at the opening round of the championship at VIR after qualifying second. Had a problematic race, had some contact, and dropped way back to 13th, rebounded nicely to a second-place finish, and comes in here as a result 6th in the points. Well, he's on pole, so a good run for him. The guy who swept the weekend, essentially, at VIR in his SAC racing, Mazda MX-5, is Matt Fastnot, and guess what? He qualified outside front row here. He comes in with the points lead with 2 wins, a pole, and a fast lap at VIR. Tom O'Gorman, this is a big story here in the Shea Racing Honda Civic SI, who had a 9th and an 11th at the opening rounds at VIR. Interesting story here in the simple fact that that is a brand new Honda Accord. It is not, sorry about that, it is not the one that the teammates have been running for a while, the Honda Civic SI. This is the new one with the 1.5-liter turbo as the cars head out on their pace lap. And it's an interesting story for the simple reason that obviously the series, when they were looking at what was unfolding, what the potential was of this car, they took a guess, and it was conservative, at how much boost they were going to allow him to run, etc. And they realized after VIR that it was a bit too conservative, so they've given him a little bit of help on weight and power, and he says the car seems to be pretty happy. But it's really interesting because this is a brand new machine, essentially, and the 2017 SI Street Car just went on sale last week. So you're seeing a car come out and race right about the same time the car is debuted on the street. And that's a pretty cool story. And as I said, it's the only turbo in the Touring Car A category, and it's cool here, and it's front drive. So he's really looking forward to having a solid run here in his Honda Performance Development Black Armor Helmets and Grid Life Civic SI. And we'll see if he's up to the task. Good run in qualifying. Elevin Goulart, who comes in second in the points in his SAC Racing Mazda Global MX-5 Cup car, the number 70, qualified 4th. And whenever we come here and race, we always get some Canadian Touring Car Championship regulars that come over and run with us, and we always look forward to seeing the Kwaks come over. And today, the number 66 of Gary Kwak in his M&S Racing Honda Civic qualified 5th, so solid run there. In the Touring Car B spec, or Touring Car B category, Kanan O'Connell, son of Johnny O'Connell, who got a win in the opening round of the championship, his first ever pro win, qualified on the pole. So impressive for him there. He had 2 front row qualifying efforts at VIR, so he's got speed this year in his Tech Sport Chevy Sonic. Jake Peipel ended up qualifying second. Jake comes in second in the points to Kanan O'Connell, only 2 back. Local resident PJ Gronke in his Tech Sport Racing Chevy Sonic, number 25, qualified 3rd. Peipel, by the way, in the Honda Fit. And in the 4th spot, Travis Wache in the Indian Summer Racing Mini Cooper had a good run with a win in the second round at VIR. Qualifies 4th, and Taylor Handwork completes the top 5 in qualifying as the cars making their way out of Moss Corner down at the bottom of that shot, at the bottom of the hill, and then this long, nearly mile-long, climbing, bending, but flat-out blast up into Turn 8. And you see there will be split starts for the 3 different classes. So the Cadillac ATSV pace car and the field behind it, 71 Holton there to the left, that beautiful Audi, silver and orange to his left, the 91 of Nick Whitmer. It's amazing that that team got that car turned around, and Nick's on track and very quick. And looking forward to coming in here for the start. First race of the doubleheader weekends in the touring car divisions, always a rolling start. So we're into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. And now it's up to that front row in the starter. And we've got 2 locals right on the sharp end of things, bringing this field up for the start of 40 minutes of racing in touring cars. Here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the green flag flies. We are racing Whitmer. Little bit better arc from the outside line. So close. He and Holton almost touching each other. Holton has experience with contact down in turn 1 here a few years back, and he learned his lesson clearly. But now, Jeff, he's trying to sweep the outside. It's going to be interesting to see. Holton, that front drive Audi, looks like it's getting a little bit better grip early into the lead.
Yeah, right on the outside down through turn number 2. That takes a move if you get around that for the lead as well. Good start. that racing Porsche tried to get around Anthony Girassi. He was able to do that starting back there in the 5th place.
Yeah, Cody had great speed. Ooh, somebody running a bit wide there. I think it was Anthony Maganoli running a little wide in his BMW, but looked like he gathered it up. But Cody had great speed, certainly at VIR, and had a pretty solid race there in one of the 2 rounds. So the number 24, that's your pole sitter, Kanan O'Connell, is off big time in turn 3 here, still trying to save it.
Yeah, not sure if he had problems with the steering on that car, but we saw him do that at Virginia International Raceway as well, drift down through the grass. He was able to come back for the win. We'll have to keep our eyes on that, but now you can see the lead that he's pulled away. Let's see if we can see what happened here, and it looks like he just got a little too hot down there behind Jake Popple and just puts his foot in it again and drifts all the way around the outside of the grass here. Now we'll see if he can go back through the field again.
Well, it's a nice
First
thing.
to last.
Yeah, when you got front drive, you turn the wheels, point where you want to go, and give it a little welly and hope it all hooks up for you. He had a big moment, didn't he, down into turn 5 during the test day when he had a little brake issue, and he said, okay, I've got that new experience in my pro career out of the way, hopefully.
That's brand new. Oh, no, there's a spin. It looks like that's the number 007, John Allen. In his Audi, unfortunately, yesterday had a problem with his accelerator pedal, the block that they have. Looks like he hasn't got that problem fixed yet, but it is Dean Copeland and Elevon Goulart battling Elevon Goulart into the new ND chassis Global MX-5 Cup car for the first race this weekend, as Dean Copeland is still leading in our TCA with his teammate Matt Fosnot. Right behind him, Elevon Goulart and Fosnot from SAC Racing, 2nd and 3rd in TCA.
Yeah, Fosnot coming off a huge weekend at VIR with those 2 wins. And it's interesting, both he and Goulart were trying out the older MX-5 Cup car, the NC chassis, and the new Global one, and they said they're different, and they make their speed just a little bit differently, and it's interesting to see which choices they opted to go for here. But I'll tell you, good solid run here. Tom O'Gorman, I was talking about it a little bit earlier, the fact that he's the lone turbo here, and it's cool. That engine is really going to be liking this weather, and he's a solid 4th right now.
Got a little bit of a balanced performance adjustment for that Civic Si. It's a brand new 2017 development car, and that was actually a test car. They're in the 25 hours of Thunder Hill in that car, so it's got some test miles on it. And the Civic Si just went on sale as well, so we should start seeing some more of those cars. Gary Kwok, the local Canadian here, running in the 5th place in his Honda Civic. That's the older style generation that you see competing here this time. But Gary Kwok, whenever they show up here, the Kwok brothers, they're always fast here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But it still is Dean Copeland in TCA over Goulart and Fosnot.
Yeah, they always show up and add to the show immensely. It's obviously big guns in the Canadian Touring Car Championship. Look at this. I mean, top 4 in Touring Car A. The blanket really doesn't cover them, and not too far behind them in the 5th spot is Kwok, as you pointed out, just a little bit back at this stage. Up front continues to be Holt leading for Whitmer, but Carl Whitmer jumping from 4th to 3rd. So the Whitmer's running 2nd and 3rd right now, and going back to the B-Spec class, Peipel now leads over Gronke after that problem for pole sitter O'Connell. Boy, I'll tell you right now, Elevon Goulart is hounding Dean Copeland.
He really is. He's putting the battle to him. As you see, here's our lead in our touring car with Paul Holton, Nick Whitmer, and then Carl Whitmer right behind him. So it's the Whitmer brothers 2nd and 3rd. Rodrigo Salas, you saw that blue BMW off the side of the exit of turn number 5 out there at Moss onto the straightaway here. He is okay. They did get him out of the car. Just a mechanical failure. He's pulled off. We'll be able to stay green.
And you saw that green flag waving at the flag station. That's just letting the drivers know that from that point, the track is clear. You can go back and race. And believe me, in this category, they're going to do it. And Cody Ellsworth is absolutely doing it right now, already heaping some pressure onto Carl Whitmer, going through the bottom of the screen. And then behind them comes the number 1 of Toby Grahovic. And boy, did our defending champion have a problematic weekend at the opening round at VIR, but he's found some speed here. But he also is finding a bit of pressure here from some of the competitors. Anthony Girassi, who dropped way back, Jeff, from where he had qualified, trying to find a way back around now as we go up to this great battle. Whitmer and Ellsworth. Boy, Whitmer dropping that inside tire down into 2. That's sketchy.
Well, it gets those front-wheel drive cars to rotate a little bit. You drop that, kind of hook it a little bit, get over there. And wow, way sideways there was Anthony Girassi as he comes down into the braking zone as Toby Grahovic defending his line. And that's going to slow him up, as I believe that's the number 80 there of Maganoli going to be able to make a pass down here to the inside of turn number 4. It's sketchy down through there, side by side into Moss.
See if he's able to make it work. No, trapped on the outside, and Girassi able to stay right back in spot. It was interesting talking to Girassi earlier in the weekend. and his crew mentioned to me, they said after about his third lap in that car, the first time he drove it, he got on the radio and said, oh, everybody needs one of these. He really enjoys that Audi. But what we're seeing here is that Audi versus BMW battle, and Magnoli got a great run out of Moss, had that momentum, and was able to just drive right around the outside of Gerasi and take that spot.
Yeah, we'll get down here into the high speed, turn number 8, turn number 9, and then back over there through 1 and 2, and you'll see this is where that Audi with that aero grip that they have, the front splitter, the rear wing, the side fenders over this BMW. You can see it closes right up on that back bumper. It's so close there, a sheet of paper, like you always say, Greg, right through there. But the guy I'm watching right now is Gregory Leafouge, your winner at VIR the last round out. He's up to 10th. After starting all the way back in the back of the field, really, when he started back, I believe, in 24th.
Yeah, 24th, 25th spot. Yeah, I mean, we knew he'd have his work cut out for him today, but with the speed we saw that he had at VIR and how quick he was in the practice here before he had that fuel pump issue, you knew he'd be making his way up. It was just how quickly he'd be able to do it, and to be up, as you said, into 10th this early in the going is very impressive. 009 back there, JT Kupal has worked his way up. He's in the top 10, and I think a little bit behind this battle, which continues to be a very, very solid one. Magnoli and Gerasi switching spots here. Now, this is where it looked like Magnoli had a little bit of speed, and see if he's able to maybe just ease away just a little bit here. Nice job there by the 007 of Allen, who's struggling a little bit and had that problem in the opening lap. Just getting out of the way and letting these guys race.
Yeah, looking at it, as you see Cody Ellsworth getting the draft over Whitmer, trying to see if he can make a pass here as they're back into our TCB field now. Going to have lap traffic here. We always say lap traffic can giveth and it can take it away. There's a good shot of that yellow Honda Fit getting out of the way there. Jasper Dringer, that car suffered an engine fire at a club event here last week. And you see he's already got the new nose on it, got everything repaired, and made it so he can come out here. Great job by him and his crew for Jasper Dringer in that Honda Fit B-Spec.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a tough deal. They actually got here a little late in the going. Chetan Paranik has himself a little bit of an issue. The 39 Zima Motorsports BMW.
That's in a bad place there in Moss into that braking zone. So if he can't get back underway, that might actually have to be a full course yellow as they're trying to get around. Taylor Handwork there goes all the way over that side there. You can do that. Still trying to defend his line through exit of turn number 2 and 3. Here is Cody Ellsworth. That hurt that momentum of Carl Whitmer, and I see Cody just trying to swing it to the outside.
And if Cody can make it parked and stay there, that's a very brave move to work the outside like that. Now the question is, was there a caution as he was coming up into that? If there was, I'm sure the stewards will be on the radio out of the team, Jeff, saying, give it back.
Yeah, full course yellow, obviously with Spanik there where he's stuck. There's no way we can leave that car there, so we're going to try to see if we can go ahead and get that car removed. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see did Cody make that pass under yellow with that car parked there, and it's really hard to see there, and they said that in the driver's meeting. That turn 4 worker station, you really have to pay attention to where that is. But if you get to that yellow and you're ahead of the guy, then yes, you heed that position. So it's going to be interesting to see how race control calls that, if that was a pass under yellow or not for Cody Ellsworth.
Now in Cody's defense, when you're on the outside going downhill off camber through 4, your mind might be elsewhere. Because that is a big, brave move to be making, obviously, and he may have been white-knuckling it just a little bit. Looked like Chetan was able to get that car moving for just a moment.
Yeah, it looks like it was probably a right front damage or right rear damage. Okay. You saw the car kind of wobbling a little bit as he started to pull away. So was trying to get it clear, but you don't want to do any more damage to your car either. Is Pernick there, that number 36 Zima Motorsports BMW, just heartbreak for him, I'm sure. As it looks like Kanan O'Connell got stuck here. We'll see if they'll start doing the rave around to some of these B-Spec cars to let them catch back up to the back of the field. If not, that'll be devastating to his race, as he was running 3rd. So the top 2 cars are going to pull away here by a lap if they don't do the wave around. Travis Wache, who's been so strong as well in that Engine Summer Racing Mini Cooper with eEuroparts.com on the side of that car, now able to compete the whole season. Not what he wants to see running 4th.
Yeah, you're right. Hopefully they'll give them the wave around and let them clear through here. I had a nice chat with Chetan. Not real familiar with him, and it turns out that this is really the first season of actual wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door racing he's done. He's done a lot of what they call HPDs, high-performance driving clinics, where you learn some pretty good speedcraft and everything. However, he said what I'm learning, and I'm learning it in big chunks right now, is racecraft with all this traffic around me. He said it's a different deal, and just a just an absolutely great guy. Really enjoyed the chat with him. So it's Holton leading over Whitmer. Ellsworth at this point shows to be third, but I think that might be adjusted if that was in a yellow flag area, and I'm pretty sure it was where he made that pass. So it'll probably be Holton, Whitmer, Nick, Whitmer, Carl, then Ellsworth, then Grahovic, and then Magagnoli, then Gerasi in 7th, Ari Belo up into 8th, Leah Fouge right there in 9th, and JT Kupal in 10th. This is an interesting scenario here for Greg Leah Fouge. Did he want the caution so that the field would compress? There wasn't a huge amount of running that's been done, so the field hadn't spread out that much. So it's a trade-off to me. Did he want the caution to bunch it up, or would he rather not have had the caution because now he can't pass anybody while we're under caution?
We just got word from race control, the incident between number 11 and 99, that is of Ellsworth and Whitmer, to see if they made that pass under yellow. They said it was too close to call, or each driver is not really sure if it was yellow or not, so it might just be better to go ahead and give him the pass, because if they do investigate it and show that he did pass under yellow, then it will be a penalty. So maybe it's just safe right now. There's a long way to go still in this race. Go ahead and give him back. We still got, 70% of this race to go. So a lot of time still remaining in this race. I would go by the better part of valor there and just say, here's the pass, go ahead and have it back. But going back to our TCA category, it still is that Dean Copeland, Ella von Goulart, and Matthew Fosnot. You can't really separate those three cars at all in that new Indy chassis Global MX-5 Cup car. You see the Mazda contingent here running those three. You got to go back to 4th. Looking at Tom O'Gorman in that new Civic Si from Shea Racing, Gary Kwok in 5th, the local here, and then Eric Powell back in 6th, who had a rough qualifying time, but can definitely wheel that Mazda MX-5, the older car, and he'll get it up there, I'm sure. Especially this is going to help him with that bunched up field now and no lap traffic.
Interesting for O'Gorman too. We talked about the fact that being the only turbo in the class and a brand new car for the category, understandably the stewards and the tech staff were a little conservative and how much boost he's going to run, etc. And we know, Jeff, that in a front drive car, obviously the front tires are asked to do an awful lot. With that cool air, O'Gorman's going to be happy with that. I think this caution, this might be just what he needs to say, all right, I don't have to conserve those fronts too much. I can really go and race, and we'll see what he's capable of doing. It certainly is going to be fun to watch it. In the Touring Car B category, it's Jake Peipel in the lead in his that white Honda Fit, PJ Gronke. And this is home for PJ, having a great time here. And looks like they may have done the switch there, Jeff, for that
Carl
Ellsworth Whitmer thing.
Yeah, yep. Carl Whitmer went back around Ellsworth, and like I said, I think that's a good, smart move by Cody Ellsworth's part, and that Porsche came in just to go ahead and give that back. Let's let them figure it out later, and I'll try to battle on race. We got, like I said, so much time to go here. Looks like it's going to be a flat toe there for Schwanek. Not sure what happened there, but he's going to get that flat toe, so good drive there. That's the teammate to Greg Leah Fouge, who's worked his way up to 9th now, and you see him right there in that orange, last winner at VIR for the second race, getting his first win in Pirelli World Challenge competition, but running double duty here this week, and you see the flat tire there on Pernick's car, and that was that was Rodrigo Salas and his blue one that we saw pulling away, getting the flat toe, and that was a right front down. Could have been from contact. I didn't really see anything there, but unfortunately a lot of debris around this track with all these cars on the track, over 50 of them here this weekend.
So I'm certainly hopeful that we're going to be getting back to racing in relatively short order here, and this is one of those scenarios here where you're really getting into the zone, really starting to build your speed, get your racing going, and you get this caution. So now it comes down to how do you deal with it. And once again, boy, a bit of a gift if they don't do a wave around. We talked about it's hugely unfortunate for Kanan O'Connell in the 24 Tech Sport Chevy Sonic B-Spec car, and Travis Wache, the Mini Cooper there, the Indian Summer car. But it'll be very, very nice for Paul Holden, because he's got a couple of cars back to a guy is always uber aggressive, and Nick Whitmer. And he'll really appreciate that, having that opportunity here, if it stays as it does. We'll see what they decide to do.
Yeah, the teams are actually lobbying for it right now. Just got word from Tim Turner down there on pit lane. The teams are asking, the TC teams are asking, are the TCB cars going to get moved out of the way? So we'll see if they can go ahead and do that wave around, give Kanan O'Connell, Travis Wache, and I believe you got Taylor Handwork, Brett Thompson, and Sally all trying to get over there. So I said Blake Thompson, not Brett. Brett Thompson races NASCAR Winston West Series, but
no, we just got confirmation from race control there won't be a wave around. So, of course, what they're asking, I'm sure, is they'll ask those touring car B cars if they will just open up and let some of these guys through. But the problem is that they want to keep racing. They're in a battle, both of them well placed in the points. So Connell and Wache, they don't want to open the door up and let that competitor of theirs go whisking through.
Yeah, this is going to be a little frustrating, though, because the way the rules are set now, when the pace car leaves the pit lane, Paul Holton has control over the field. So once he enters the VP fuel acceleration zone, he can flat out go. Well, Kenyon O'Connell's going to flat out go. Nick Whitmer's going to flat out go. But that BMW is a little bit more quicker than that Chevy Sonic, and I got to think that once that green flag hits, you got to wait for the green flag before you can pass. So you could be at speed, relatively termed to a B-spec to a touring car, but you still have to wait for the green flag to come out until you can pass that TCB car. Exactly. So it's going to be very, very frustrating. We're going to see Paul Holton, I believe, pull a pretty big lead out over Nick Whitmer and Carl Whitmer here.
I think that's an important thing to note, is that when we go back to green, it doesn't matter if you're in 30th place and you're still working your way up into turn 8. When the green flag flies at the start stand on a restart, the track is green. Racing commences from that point. So every once in a while, you'll see cars with 2 corners to go start racing and passing and working on each other, and that's okay. You don't have to cross the finish line before you can start racing. You do at sometimes on the starts, but never on a restart.
A lot of drivers trying to get their Pirelli P0 tires cleared off, keep them up to temperature here. Still not quite to halfway of this race. And see Shea Holbrook there in her Bubba Burger Lucas Oil Honda Accord. A devastating weekend, a couple weekends for them with that huge crash we had from Jason Fichter at VIR. Good news there. He did recover, walked out of the car, a little bit sore, but sad that Jason's not here with us this weekend, and I know he's watching live. Just want to give you a good shout out, and you're still in everybody's thoughts. And Sarah Montgomery yesterday in a huge crash in her qualifying, not testing there, and barrel rolled a couple times down turn number 2 there. So she went to the local hospital, got checked out. She's all clear, and thankful for that. And just once again the testament to the safety that Pirelli World Challenge officials have done on these cars, and the build quality that Shea Racing provides to these cars. And Spencer Patterson, unfortunately, in his Mazda MX-5 had a huge shunt yesterday as well in that qualifying session. He had to the local hospital, got checked out. He is all clear as well. So a lot of carnage on this track at Motorsport, now Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and that's just the nature of this facility. This was, as Jason Saney used to call it, this was the track before the attorneys got involved here at one of these courses all the way back in the 1950s.
Yeah, this is old school, no question about it. It is absolutely phenomenal racetrack, but it is one that bites. Because just the sustained speeds that you have here. But every driver, when they look on the schedule for a series they're running, when they see now Canadian Tire Motorsport Park on the schedule, they grin.
Yeah, you just kind of help smile, especially this turn right here. And you look at the B-Spec with Jake Peipel coming down through there. A few years ago, I got a chance to drive the Fiat 500 here in the B-Spec trim that won the championship with Jonathan Start. And you were flat out there, never hit the brakes, never turned. So you got to think you got that whole long straightaway to build up that speed, and just hold your breath, commit, turn in, and let the breath out as you go through turn number 9 and go, okay, good, I lived. And that's really what it is around this corner. Turn 2 is another one of those, okay, I lived. Now let's go through turn 3 and turn 4.
Yeah, big gut check stuff. I'll tell you, later on in the day when the Sprint X series or classes come out to run in the GT3 cars, talking with some of the top GT3 drivers, they said, we're in absolute top gear heading into it. It's a brush of the brake, flick it down 1 gear and hard on throttle. And that's entry to a corner. That's impressive stuff.
Especially with that long of a straightaway to build up that speed. It's a lot different when you're in a high-speed turn like turn number 2 or what you do, but it looks like they're trying to get everybody staged up here, calling the pace car to slow down just a little bit to bunch up this field. Hopefully we can get back under green here as we think we got all the incidents out. And there's a great shot once again, making his debut in Pirelli World Challenge at Virginia International Raceway, that Copeland Motorsport Mazda Global MX-5 Cup car of Dean Copeland. Had 2 cars strong at VIR, this time only down to 1, but look for him to come back with 2 cars at our next round at Lime Rock. And this has come in with a vengeance here. Longtime competitor in the MX-5 Cup Series competitor, making the switch over here to Pirelli World Challenge. And really just a great-looking car, great-looking team. And it looks like SAC Racing still strong now with Ella Von Goulart going to that new chassis, Greg.
Absolutely. And like I said, they evaluated both of them. And they said one of the things that the global MX-5 Cup car does much better than the other, the older one, is braking. And they said, but they said it isn't quite as slippery, but it tends to be. You're able to carry a little bit better mid-corner speed and the like. So obviously they've made the choices, and we see lights out in the pace car. So next time out at turn 10, we get into that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. Jeff, we're going racing.
Yeah, and the good part here that might actually help Nick Whitmer a little bit, and Carl and Cody Ellsworth, is that the pit lane is pretty short entry here. You got to go all the way around turn number 9. So you're only going to lose about a corner to a corner and a half of once Paul Holton starts accelerating before Kanan O'Connell. So hopefully we get a pretty short yellow flag here. But Nick Whitmer has to be very careful to not pass Kanan before that green flag comes out, even though Paul Holton can go anytime here.
And pace car, you saw it accelerate away as it builds that gap so it can get into pit lane here. And we are now into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. And let's see when Paul decides to roll into the throttle, and there he goes. Yeah, nice job, Kanan, not giving up too much here. Still no green. Let's see, was the green? The green may have been out, because it is exactly what you talked about. Whitmer was coming after Kanan, and hopefully that green was out by the time Whitmer nosed ahead.
Yeah, he tried to time it just as about, and these cars got crew radios down there on pit lane, so they can look when the green flag comes out. Notice tell all their teams and their drivers, hey, but you can see that gap they pulled away, and that's strictly because of that lap traffic car that you saw there from Kanan O'Connell, who's really a lap down almost to the leaders in TCB, but running in third.
And while that rule is in place, and if they elect not to do the wave around, I mean, Holton doing what he is supposed to do, the smart thing to go. And I'm sure Whitmer will feel a bit aggrieved with that, but that's how the rules sit right now, and Holton did exactly what he was supposed to do. And that FAF C360R, Audi big off.
A couple other cars back there. Samantha Tan, it looks like one of the cruisers with Cameron McGorry. Tom O'Gorman, damage to his Civic Si, and then number 92 BMW, unfortunately into the wall. That's Chris Omach.
Oh man, yeah, Samantha Tan. I mean, she had a tough weekend at VIR. That was a substantial hit. You can see looked like the Lotus was the one that
just got loose, or not sure if there was contact there, but he was the one that spun first, though. Cameron McGorry in that Krug Speed Lotus Exige, unfortunately, got T-boned by Tom O'Gorman on that passenger side. So it looks like it's red flag here. We're going to go down and onto all the cars will go down on pit lane, try to get this track cleared, but having him stopped right there in the middle of the track. Let's see.
I'm trying to see what happened to O'Gorman.
Yeah. Looks like there might have been some contact from the BMW there. I believe that's that number 18.
Yeah. It's a 38, I think, it's Samantha.
Stefan Sajak, I think, got into the back of Cameron McGorry, got him spun. And that was just unfortunate for wrong place, wrong time for Tom O'Gorman. And you saw Elevon Goulart was leading in our TCA, was able to get around Dean Copeland on that start, and they were all able to avoid him, and Tom O'Gorman chose to go to the right instead of following to the left and made that contact. But you can see Cameron moving inside the car. Our Cadillac Escalade, the safety vehicle, Pirelli World Challenge, right on scene there. That's our medical vehicle now, so we got them there, and they'll be able to transport them and get going.
Well, and I'll tell you, that's one of those deals when you have multi-class racing and you got that front group of very fast drivers in Touring Car A in the back of the Touring Car field where they maybe haven't quite got the speed up yet, and they run into it and something happens like that. It's a tough deal. And O'Gorman had a great run going here and just got caught up in it, and that's unfortunate for sure. So field makes its way down into pit lane, as you mentioned, Jeff, and they will stop and wait, and we'll see what happens, whether the clock continues to roll or not, and it currently is stopped. So that's the good news. There is a little bit of a margin here, but it's a busy weekend here at the Victoria Speedfest weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So there's only so much time that you can hang on to here, and hopefully it looked like a lot of the cars drove away. So if Majari, if they're able to get that Lotus up the Krug Speed entry up onto a flatbed in a hurry, we might be able to preserve a decent amount of race time. Keeping our fingers crossed. The
biggest thing, too, you just saw that safety truck roll through the box truck there. They're going to help have to rebuild that tire wall as well. That, I believe that was, we said that was Sajak that went into the, Stefan Sajak that went into the wall there, that number 18. No, it was 18 that made contact with McGorry, sorry.
Samantha.
But it was Samantha Tan that was in the wall, and just devastating for these guys with that damage that they have to these cars.
Yeah.
with this tight turnaround, we have a race tomorrow, and then next week is Lime Rock.
Yes.
So you don't have a lot of time if you really, really heavily damage a car and you're trying to stay in this championship to go get it fixed.
And that's a tough tightrope to walk, when you've got, the first race of a doubleheader weekend and then a big doubleheader weekend the following one. You don't want to just not race in that first race. I mean, you're in a championship. You're looking for points. You're racing the competitors in your class, and you've got other classes around you. But you also want to maybe be a little more conservative. But in something like that, when something happens that you're just a complete passenger and caught up in, that's doubly frustrating.
Very frustrating. It's really, like I said, for poor Tom O'Gorman, and that car just went on sale, and this being the development car that Honda developed for their Civic Si race program, may not have a lot of spares on that car either, so it's going to be touch and go to see what happens with Tom. And Tom's heavy in this championship, going for that, our past TCB champion, moving up to that TCA category. We'll have to see if Shea Racing could just, another unfortunate damaged car for that Shea Racing team. They got a lot of work to do.
Boy, it has been a tough couple of events for Shea Racing at this stage. Have really, and you got to give big props to Shea Holbrook and that entire team, because they have really upped their program, haven't they? No question with what they've been able to start doing here. As we see Chris Omacht, that you had talked about making his way down into the pits, damage in the front of that classic BMW.
Yeah, it's some damage to the front there. Got word from race control they would like him to go ahead and get out of that car and head over to the medical center. As you see, Cameron McGorry has been pulled from that car. The Cadillac medical vehicle is pulled away with him, and then the crews here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park getting that car up on the flatbed to get him cleared. They're already starting to repair the damaged tire wall over there, so just a great safety crew here getting this done as quickly as possible to see if we can get going green again.
Yeah, they do it right here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, no question, under the leadership of Ron Fellows and the great investment group that has taken this world-class track and transformed everything around it into a world-class facility over the past few years, while still preserving the great challenge that is Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Just an absolutely great place to come. And you can see the fans are out in droves. I mean, on Thursday when they opened the gates, the crowd that poured in here with their campers and RVs and tents that's set up. This is a big weekend of motorsport here in Canada, the Victoria Day weekend events, and certainly here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Speed Fest, and it's one that is pretty revered by the fans.
Yeah, it's just something that you do, I think. It's like, it's Victoria Day weekend. What are we doing? Oh, we're going to Motorsport. Let's go over here and go watch some races. And that's just what you're wired to do up here. And the campgrounds are totally full, totally sold out for that. There's no more room, and this is just going to be a great, all the support races and all the series they got going on, headlined here by Pirelli World Challenge. It's just awesome to have. We came here earlier 3 years ago with our touring cars, and it was just, when are we going to bring the GT cars? When are we going to bring the GT cars? Come on, I want to see the GT cars. And sure enough, we brought them here, and it's been nothing but excellent racing, door to door, wheel to wheel, awesome stuff, and what a great show the Pirelli World Challenge puts on here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Yeah, and this is a track that in a lot of ways is tailor-made for the big GT3 machinery, with the high-speed, long, arcing, flowing corners here where downforce and power rules, and that's what a GT3 car has. And that's what makes it extra fun for these categories where you don't necessarily have that level of downforce, and it's more mechanical grip. And so while the GT3 cars are mighty impressive in their speed, these are fun, because the back end will hang out around some of these turns, and you can float through the corner a little bit and do stuff, which makes it a great challenge and great to view, but it also makes it a little bit diabolical. So the clock still stopped. That's the good news here.
You see Samantha Tan pull her BMW into that GPI pit lane there with, she does going to have a little bit of damage there, and not sure if she's just going to wait this yellow flag out, give the team a chance to look at it. And under red flag, you're not allowed to see it, but you see the damage there to the side of that Lotus Exige, and they're local, based in New York, so it shouldn't be too hard to get that car back to the shop right away, try to get it ready for the Lime Rock, but heavy damage to that Lotus Exige.
Well, it was, a couple of years ago here where Krug-Speed made its debut in World Challenge with one of these Lotuses, and I think they promptly were on the podium with a great qualifying run, and ran into some of the team members earlier, and I said, this is where it started, remember? let's make it work. And they said, oh, we're trying, believe me. And you hate to see this happen, obviously. Dennis Hanratty's still out there in the number 4 entry, but obviously for Cameron Majari, day is done.
Still under red flag here. We'll try to get that cleanup done as quick as possible, give you an update on when we can go back green and how much time will be left on the clock. Obviously, with the schedule here, you have the NASCAR Pinty Series, we have the Pirelli GT3 Cup, the Canadian Tire Touring Car Championship, Canadian Touring Car Championship here, and the Pirelli World Challenge with all the races. So it's really a tight, compact schedule, but with the amount of fans here and it being able to build this in, it is going to be checkered flag for our race series. So I'm going to head down to pit lane and get some winter interviews done.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Oh, that is unfortunate, obviously. Such a phenomenal venue. We don't really get the opportunity to see them go to the finish. But, when you've got a number of incidents like this, that will happen on occasion here. And part of it is when that car, I think it was the 92 right there of Omak, got into the tire barrier, when it dislodges the tires away from the concrete, you cannot just go back racing without re-banding and restructuring those tires, because now if you get into it, one, you've got an ability to get straight into concrete, not a good thing, but also when the tires are not banded and have been distressed and loosened, that can launch cars. So as much as one hates to finish a race under a caution or under a red flag, if safety dictates that's what you need to do, that's what you're going to do. And that is the right move here. So it's unfortunate. But the nice thing is being a doubleheader weekend, we'll have the touring cars back out tomorrow. And they will be running even a little bit earlier tomorrow. 8:30 in the morning will be when the touring cars will run tomorrow. And part of the issue is here, it's so chilly right now, especially after that long caution. The tires have cooled off. And some of these drivers may be a little bit too aggressive on tires that really haven't built the heat where they need it at this point, and then things happen here. So it's unfortunate, but the checkered flag is out. So the third round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championship Touring Car Divisions has now concluded. And again, this is unofficial at this stage because they'll go back sometimes to the end of the preceding lap. So we're not exactly sure who may have made passes here or there, but the touring car, the podium should be Paul Holton. That should not be in any doubt, nor should second place Nick Whitmer. We had that battle going on between Carl Whitmer in the 99 Honda in third, and Cody Ellsworth in the Racer Inc. Porsche in the fourth spot, the number 11. And Toby Grahovic working his way up in a good run in fifth for our defending champion, who once again had that problematic event in VIR for the opening 2 rounds, and he'll be happy to know that he's got the speed. The unfortunate thing is for Greg Liafouche, who had rapidly gone from 25th, I believe, up into the top 10. Once we went back to racing, I think it certainly was a possibility for him to be able to move up a few more spots, and that got completely blunted here with this red flag and early checkers. So that's unfortunate. Fifth will go to Anthony Magagnoli in the number 80. Seventh to Anthony Gerasi in the number 69. Eighth, the number 19 of Ari Belo. And ninth, as I said, the number 20 of Greg Liafouche, the co-points leader coming in. And in 10th, JT Kupal in the 009. That's how the top 10, again, unofficially based on what we're seeing on the scoring monitors right now. They will go back to the last completed lap, so that might cycle just a little bit, and we'll see how that shakes out. In Touring Car A, again, it shows Dean Copeland as the winner here. Now, we had on that restart, Jeff had noted that Esteban Goulart had gone around the 07 in Goulart's number 70 to take the lead, but they always go back to the last completed lap. So Copeland probably will end up with the win over Goulart. And the double winner at VIR, Matt Fasnacht, in the number 74 SAC Racing Mazda, will be third. Tom O'Gorman. The good news for Tomo, as everybody calls him, is that if they go to the last completed lap, he will get that fourth, and that will be nice. He certainly had the speed for a top 5, and just caught up in that incident, so he may yet get those fourth place points. And local standout Gary Kwok in the number 66 M&S Racing Honda up into 5th. And in Touring Car B, Jake Pipel looks like he'll get the win in his white number 6 Honda Fit. PJ Gronke, local favorite here, no question, in his Tech Sport Chevy Sonic. The 25 will be second. Kanan O'Connell will get third. That's good for him in terms of the points. In the 24 car, the team car to Gronke, Travis Wache in the Indian Summer Racing Mini Cooper in the 4th spot, and the 77 of Taylor Handwork in his Indian Summer Mini Cooper should be completing the top 5. Once again, touring cars will race again tomorrow morning early. Don't go too far away, though, because coming up in very short order, we will have the 5th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship, Race 1 here from the Pirelli World Challenge Championships at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.